All right, folks. Small Part No Car here. Mopar Ninja back at you. So I wanted to give you my comparison between the Camaro SS and the Challenger. So a few weeks ago, I went on a little weekend vacation, and wanted to give the Durango a break. Didn't want to run it down too much, so I said, let me rent a car. It was a good excuse for me to drive something I wanted to drive anyway. So anyway, I was in the market to, pick up a Scat Pack for the weekend. I couldn't find a Scat Pack, but they had a 2SS Camaro available at a very reasonable price for that type of car with 455 horsepower. I was like, all right, bet. Let's give this Camaro a try. And so when I got in the Camaro, I had the first thing that I encountered, and I've heard people talk about it, about the Camaros, is poor visibility. That was the first thing that I noticed when I sat down in that car. It was very hard to see out of, but not impossible. And matter of fact, as I got a few blocks down the road, I had already adjusted to it. I had got used to it. It had a blind spot warning on the side mirrors, which was very helpful. But you can see out of it. It's not like you can't see out of it. You can see out of it. You know what I mean? I saw out of it just fine. I mean, when you first get in it, you're gonna be taken aback by, like, wow, it feels, really cooped up in here. It's like you're really low to the ground. You feel encaged and encapsulated in something, and the visibility is not all that great. But it wasn't a problem for me. Yeah, that 455 feet of torque and that 400 horsepower and that Camaro SS, it was crazy. It was crazy. That thing has a lot of power. It's very small compared to a Challenger. It's very tiny. It's small, okay? But the freaking power in that thing is very crazy. Yeah, it does 0 to 60 in 4 seconds flat. So that should say something. That's a really fast freaking vehicle. Usually when you get in a car, I don't know, I mean, for me, usually when you get in a car, you kind of got to get used to it, get the feel for it. You know what I mean? I remember, like, when I first bought my Durango, I was out in Jersey and I had to drive back maybe 60 miles, about 30 something miles, 40 something miles back into Brooklyn. I was a nervous wreck on that highway because I was still getting the feel for the Durango. This was the first time I was driving something like that. And, it took me a little while to get used to it. Same thing here with this Challenger. When I first jumped in it and I started driving it, I really had to feel it out. But with the Camaro, the thing feels like a toy. When I jumped in it, it was like the easiest thing in the world to drive. It was so easy. You don't feel the weight and any weight or body roll. It's just you and the tires or hitting the road. That's it. You don't feel nothing else. The steering wheel was small, but it had a flat bottom, and it was very easy to control. I was out in Pennsylvania, and they had a lot of, windy back roads out in the woods out there, and that thing was handling it no problem. When I got on the highway, I did 112 miles an hour in that Camaro, and I didn't feel it. It felt like it wanted to do more. I was doing 90 miles an hour, and I had to look down at the speedometer to know how fast I was going, because I couldn't tell. I didn't feel it. It felt like nothing. That car really handles high speeds very well. And it can reach a high speed really quick too. But it just handles very well. It just handles very, very well. I had one hiccup with it You know, I was at a dead stop at a red light, and I mashed the gas a little too hard, and I lost traction in the rear wheels, and I lost control of the car. Started, you know, just swaying all over the place. You know, it was kind of scary. You know, that's a car. Cars like that and the Scat Pack, you got to approach those cars with a healthy amount of respect. You got to be really easy on that gas, especially from a dead stop. You got to make sure you have traction. That's why I don't really care for this, you know, racing people at stoplights and red lights and all that, because you might, depending on what type of vehicle you have, and if you got an excessive amount of horsepower and something like a Camaro SS or like a freaking Scat Pack or a Hellcat, some nonsense like that, yeah, you might lose control of that vehicle. There's plenty of videos of it happening on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? You gotta know what you're doing with these rear-wheel drive cars. Yeah, this is my first rear-wheel drive car. The Camaro was the first rear-wheel drive car that I drove. Right now I'm in the Challenger, 2019 Challenger RT. In comparison to the Challenger now, the Camaro, I mean, if you care about, you know, being a freaking chauffeur and transporting people around, well, the Camaro, the back seats are very uncomfortable. And it only holds 2 people. It barely holds 2 people. There's only 2 seats back there. The Challenger has 3 seats, and you know, I was able to stick my whole family in here. It's very doable to put, you know, for this vehicle to carry 5 people, 5 adult people. It's very possible. It's very doable. Bigger, it has a bigger trunk and everything. But I hear people complaining about that. But it's like, if I'm getting a car like that, I'm not really caring about traveling with folk. You know, this. You know, I don't. That's not my concern. You know, it's my. I'm buying. If I buy a car like that, it's for my personal fun and enjoyment. I'm not getting that car to be no freaking chauffeur. So, yeah. So, people making that an issue. Don't even bring. You have no business bringing that up. You know, you don't buy cars like that to worry about. Oh, I can't drive people around. Anyway, as far as, I can't really compare the horsepower to the Camaro to this Challenger RT, because the Camaro SS has way more horsepower. It has 455. The RT Challenger only has 375, about 400 horsepower. So, you know, the Camaro is a lot lighter and a lot faster and more powerful than the Challenger RT. The Challenger Scat Pack is probably a different story. A way bigger different story. I haven't drove a Scat Pack, so I couldn't tell you. But I know that freaking Camaro SS was damn powerful. It was damn powerful and fast. Okay? The major thing for me is that, you know, I'm a sports car kind of guy. I love to drive, right? But when I drive, I love to have the feeling of complete control and mastery over the vehicle. My major concern, you know, with a vehicle is how well it handles. That's my concern. How well does it handle? That's what I'm more concerned about. I'm more concerned about handling than anything else. Even horsepower. Horsepower is secondary. I want something that handles well. Now, does the Camaro handle better than the Challenger? Of course it does. Of course it does. I don't even know why people compare the Challenger to the Camaro and the Mustang. The Camaro and the Mustang is nothing like the Challenger. The Challenger is a true muscle car. It is a true muscle car. Okay, it's big, long, and heavy, and has a lot of power. A Camaro to me, shouldn't even be classified as a muscle car. That's a sports car. The Mustang is like a muscle / sports car, leaning a little bit more towards sports car. But the Mustang is a muscle. I would consider the Mustang a muscle car also. But the Camaro is a straight up sports car. Y'all got it twisted. There's no There's no comparing a Camaro to a Challenger. To me, that's like comparing a freaking minivan to a 2-door coupe or something like that. It's not the same. It's not the same class. It's not in the same class. It's not in the same scope of realm of existence. It's on a whole nother dimension. Why are people comparing the Camaro to the Challenger? I have no idea. But me personally, I like sports cars. And I hate to say this as a Mopar guy, but that's where Dodge has failed. They have failed to provide a sports car. A real, true, genuine sports car. Yes, they are the king of this muscle car thing. The Challenger, is the king of muscle cars. Period. Hands down. If you like muscle cars and that style of cars, then there's no other place to look but Dodge. If that's what you're looking for. But I wish Dodge would have made a car that could really rival the Camaro in handling. Something maybe you could take on the track. The Challenger, it's too heavy. Now, it's too heavy. They call it a boat and this, that, and the other, but I will give it a lot of credit. It handles very well for its size. It handles very well for its size. You're not going to be breaking any track records with this thing, but I mean, day-to-day, daily use, it's great. It's a great daily driver. It's very comfortable, and it handles very good for its size. It doesn't feel like, you'll be surprised what it could do, but it just can't do it as good as the Camaro when it comes to handling. The Camaro feels like a toy. It feels like a toy. It's a very easy car to drive. I found it extremely easy to drive. I love the styling of it. I love the looks of it. I mean, in looks, comparing the Challenger to the Camaro, no, I'm sorry, the Camaro wins hands down. It just looks way much better. I love the way the Camaro's a sexy car, man. I love the way it looks. I love the way the Challenger looks too, don't get me wrong. Yeah, Challenger is very intimidating. But again, it's based on what you like, what you prefer. Like, I'm a sports car kind of guy. I've always been a sports car lover. My first car was a Toyota Celica. That was a front-wheel drive sports car, and I had a great time in that. I never drove a muscle car. I wasn't a big muscle car guy, and but that's where Dodge failed us. That's what Dodge failed me. Dodge should have made. The only thing like a sports car that Dodge has that they don't even make it anymore is the Viper. They should have made a watered down Viper instead of the Charger. Instead of freaking souping up this freaking sedan, this freaking cop car with, putting a Hellcat engine and supercharger in there, they should have made a real genuine sports car that could handle on a track and compete with the Camaro in that arena. Instead of souping up, a big heavy 4-door sedan Charger. To me, the Charger shouldn't have went no higher than an RT. They should have made that a nice little family vehicle and made it a matter of fact, as a family vehicle, they should have made it an all-wheel drive RT. Maybe the highest all-wheel drive 392. And left it at that. But making a freaking Charger Hellcat and Charger Hellcat Red Eye, and for what? For what? We don't need a souped up 4-door sedan. That thing is big. I don't like Chargers. I don't like them at all. I don't want no parts of that. I want a coupe, actually. So I'm not even looking at a Charger. I would never consider a Mustang either. That's not even crossing my mind. Those things are death traps. I don't want no part of no Mustang. Forget about that. But honestly, I mean, Dodge really screwed up there, because, you know, there's a lot of us like myself that are loyal to Dodge, you know, loyal to the Mopar community. You know, yeah, that's just the way I am. You know, I'm a loyal type of guy to my cars, you know, and the car makers. You know, my last 2 vehicles were Mopar products, so, you know, I've pretty much been a Mopar guy, you know, for the past, you know, 6 years now. So, but as a sports car enthusiast, yeah, Dodge failed me. Dodge failed me. Because the Camaro, I'm sorry, to me, I would rather go buy a Camaro than buy a Challenger. It handles better. It's smaller. It's lighter. It looks better. So, I mean, for me, that's just my preference. I would have to go Camaro for a personal vehicle for my own enjoyment. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed this Challenger RT. It's a beautiful vehicle. It's great. But yeah, I mean, if it came down between the Camaro and the Challenger, I'm taking the Camaro.